Okay, guys, so it's being recorded from now on. We're going to start another amazing webinar, and those webinars are done within the framework of the weekly fasting group, which is a big online community dedicated to abstaining from food for at least 24 hours every week. And in this community, there are people of different viewpoints, different dietary lifestyle, different religious beliefs. So it has no other agenda other than just to be united and gain this group spirit in fasting. And some people do it for spiritual reasons, other people do it for discipline reasons, to develop themselves. Still other people do it for healing reasons. So people have all kinds of reasons for doing that. And that's what makes it beautiful. We have unity in diversity. And so if those ideas appeal to you, and if you're watching this video later on, you will find my WhatsApp number. It's a WhatsApp community. You will find my WhatsApp number below this video. My name is Arik. You can just send me a WhatsApp message and with your name, with your wish to join the weekly fasting group, and I will happily add you. Of course, it's free, and it's based on goodwill of the participants. And every week, or almost every week, we have those webinars every Friday where we invite interesting speakers and we discuss different subjects related to healing, philosophy, lifestyle, diet, and other interesting topics. So yeah, and today we have a very special guest, and Alba is going to introduce him. So Alba, over to you.
Thanks. So today we have Alexander J. Fox joining us, who, among many things, is an energy healer and an empowerment coach. And I don't know his other titles, but I have experienced his incredible Reiki master skills, which I can't wait for my next session. But he has a really interesting story about about healing himself from Crohn's, and I'll let him talk about that. He also has a YouTube channel, and we'll post all of that information. And I like that he has shorts on there because we live in a busy world. And so like he drops a little bit of wisdom that brings you to the present moment. Usually it's connected to the breath, which is one of my things. I'm a meditation facilitator. So I love sharing that, and I love sharing mindfulness practices. But what makes Alexander so special, I feel, for us today is that he talks about this holistic approach to healing. It's not just about our food, or it's not just about the mental or emotional, it's all of it. And that he works with energy, and I love his take on energy. So Alexander, I'm going to turn it over to you for about 20 or 25 minutes to just share whatever comes from your heart, and then we'll do some Q&A.
That sounds amazing.
Thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, it's an honor. I appreciate all of you for holding space and sharing your presence and your light, and just wanting to continue to have betterment in your lives and for other people. So very grateful for that. Thank you.
So before you begin, I bet this is a big question on everybody's mind. How about we start here? Universal energy healing. People are like, what is that?
So, everything is energy. Science proves that. Electromagnetism. We are energetic beings having a human experience. When Reiki was first brought into the realm in Western society, it was about the 1920s, and it came from Japan. But then people might start to question, well, what if other people were doing that beforehand? Then like, what were people calling that? And like Jesus, when he did his healings on people, it was just him being him, and everything is the universe. Everyone is their own universe. And then that makes up the entire universe as one big whole, one big consciousness. So, when we start to put labels on things, because like I know different energy modalities, like the vortex energy, the ball of spirit, there's Reiki energy, there's Usui Reiki, even fire Usui Reiki. And I'm like, all these different things, just to get people's attentions and just draw them in. And which is great, because it gets people to question it, be like, oh, that sounds different than this one, then, and there's going to be little different tricks and tips and modalities, different movements, and everyone's going to channel like some different energies depending on how they were taught, their environment, stuff like that. But I like to just call it universal energy, um, along with Reiki, because like I do have to label it, and it's just a little bit easier when people just hear Reiki, they're like, oh yeah, I know that, or I've heard of that. And then like if you say universal energy, then you kind of have to explain yourself more. So it just depends on your time and energy and essence behind it. But yeah, so everything is energy. That's the universal background behind it, at least from my perspective.
Love it. I would concur with you. It was interesting. I didn't really think about like the way you just explained it, but I guess I did in a sense too. When I think about universal healing energy, I was also thinking in the aspect, like you said, there's so many different modalities that come from all across the globe, and we didn't invent them. You know what I mean? We might have an experience and use them in a particular way that may become that may get studied and it might get a name or whatever. But you're right, like the energy, we are that energy. Maybe
Yeah,
we just learned how to channel it ourselves. So
right.
thankful for people like you. But yeah, you're right. It is a universal energy. So, and I can see like when you start to talk about stuff like that, right? Like it's hard. Words actually point to things, but yeah, I can see how that could be tricky. So cool. Thank you for taking the time to share your perspective. Well, I'm going to just turn it over to you so you can tell us your incredible experience, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, beautiful. So yeah, I was born and raised in a town called Lyndhurst, Ohio, which is about 30 minutes east of Cleveland. And I lived basically a normal life. I grew up playing sports and went to public school, and I had a pretty good life. And in 2012 was a year that really hit me. I was going into like community college, and I met this girl who was absolutely amazing, and I manifested her exactly the way that I did, and I didn't even know what manifestation was. And then I dated her for about 5 years, which was amazing, the good and bad. And I made some decisions that really hurt me and really hurt her, like some cheating, some lying. My diet was very poor. I was smoking a lot of cannabis, like morning, noon, and night. And I was not hanging out with like the best types of people. I mean, they were good people. It's just like when you surround yourself with the five people, you become those people, you know, and I was doing some things I probably shouldn't had, but it is what it is. And, I had all this like shame and guilt and just not treating myself, fully, in a healthy way. And then that started to manifest into me having some physical problems and some internal issues. And then in like 2016, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And Crohn's disease is like where, at least for me, it can differ a little bit, but my small and large intestines were both inflamed, and I wasn't able to process food. I had lost a ton of weight. I lost about 30 pounds, and I weighed 130, and I had muscle. I went down to 100 pounds. Um, it was very scary. I had pain. I couldn't process food. I had a lot of night sweats. It was very hard for me to sleep, and I even had something called a perirectal abscess, like where in the rectum area, it was just like a huge like pain point that like anytime I ever tried to sit down, like it just felt like I was sitting on a needle like all the time.
Wow.
Super uncomfortable. And then there was times like where I wasn't able to control my stools. So like I would be walking in community college down the hallway, and then boop,
Wow.
and I was like, oh my God, this sucks. And yeah, and the girl that I dated, she was absolutely amazing the entire time. always supporting me, even when I fucked up, even when I was at my lowest, my rock bottom. She was always there for me. And for as much as she loved me, I could not find anything to like love about myself. I had no self-love. I had like no self-confidence. And then eventually everything that I had done to her, she did back to me. It was the law of attraction, and rightfully so, I deserved it for sure. And then she broke up with me, rightfully so, because I couldn't change. I was always in pain. I just couldn't find any way to get out of that funk. So, and then I spent an entire year at rock bottom, just going through school. And then I had this awakening in 2018, which really started my spiritual journey. And to make a long story short, I had a moment where I was walking down a street in Edinburgh, Scotland, and
Wow.
it was a side street, and you could only hear our footsteps walking. And then for a moment, I stopped walking. And then I hear like wind chimes in my right ear, and my vision just turns black and white. And I remember just turning around, and then I had this vision where I had been here before. I had dreamt of that specific moment in my sleep, in my dreams, and it
Wow.
came to this reality. And that made me question everything. And I've experienced deja revu every single day for the past 4.5 years. And it hasn't stopped. Like it feels like there's a part of my soul that has already lived this part of life. And I'm just volunteering, just remembering who I am so I can just be of service for the world.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and then slowly things started to get better. I started to get on some Western medicine that started to help me like suppress problems so I could breathe a little bit easier navigating this life. And then in 2019, it was May 19th on a Sunday. I was at a music festival, and this is when I came across energy. There was a woman, she was having a drug overdose, like a seizure on the beach. And she was like in the fetal position. She was rocking back and forth, like shaking and shivering. And I asked her, I was like, hey, what's going on? And she just goes, I feel better just sitting down right now. And I said, okay, this can't be happening. Like, what can I do to like heal this woman? Just like ask the question point blank. And I got this download that just said ball of energy. So I was like, okay. So I started making this ball of energy. I was like stretching it, playing it silly putty, juggling it like a soccer ball on my thighs and feet. And then I was dancing with it. And then I looked at her and I said, hey, get ready. She's like, wait, what? And I said, get ready. So then I jumped up in the air and I slammed this ball of energy at her. And then 10 seconds later, she got up and she was dancing like there was no tomorrow. Like,
Wow.
like even Paula Abdul like would have been off her rocker. Yeah.
Totally, totally, totally. So
And
tell us a little bit about your personal healing journey. Or you
yeah.
can continue with that story as well.
It'll lead to that. Mhm.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So, and then that's when I learned about Reiki energy, and that's when I learned about intuition and consciousness. That's how it sparked the whole journey. And then within the next month, I was able to find a Reiki master, and then 3 months later I graduated, and then I started to, learn more about like holistic healing. And then that's when I I think it was about August, maybe September, I took my last like infusion, like my last over-the-counter medicines for my Crohn's, and I said, okay, I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna do my own thing with holistic and like natural substance or natural remedies. And I'm just gonna see what happens. I'm just gonna throw myself into this surrender. And yeah, so I had to change a lot of things. Like I changed my career. because that wasn't making me happy. Being in an office space, it was bad. So I got out of sales and marketing, which I had went to school for. And then I started to work with kids. I became a child care counselor. And then I started to change my diet. So I went from eating the American original lifestyle, and then I started to eat a lot more plant-based things. And then I started to change my music because I used to listen to a lot of rap. I used to listen to a lot of sports talk shows. And then I realized, that's not really serving me, not making me feel good. So I started to change to like classical music. I started listening to EDM music, things that didn't have a lot of words, but just really good beats that I could just like, find my groove and just like have fun dancing in the car and being with friends who enjoyed it. I started to smoke a little less cannabis, and I started to see that helped. I started to do my own self healings, and then I started to meet more energy healers. So I would start getting worked on by them. I met sound healers, so I started to use tuning forks and sound bowls to help. And then I even found an acupuncturist, which was a near and dear friend of mine since I was 12 years old. And yeah, and then I remember just like after my acupuncturist told me about this green mixture that was going to like kind of reset my digestive tract, he's like, dude, if you take this, you're going to be healed. And I said, okay, you're the first person that's ever recommended me that and telling me that straight up. Like, I believe in you. And I took that green mixture, and like 3 days later, I remember waking up and I was like, I think I'm healed. Oh, I think I'm healed. Holy cow. And then I started to test the waters. I was like, you know what? I'm going to eat a little bit of cheese. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to eat just a little bit of meat. I'm going to see what happens. And then I went through the entire day, and I had like no pain. And then like my stools, like within the next like few days, my stools became like instantly like more soft and solid. And then like this, it felt like this energetic connection between my gut and my brain was just like fully connected. And I said, oh my God, we did it. We did it. It was like like I cried. I cried so much when I found out that happened. And then my life really started to turn around. And then I just started feeling good. I started like attracting like more miracles and blessings, and I started to meet incredible people. And yeah. And then that was like, I mean, my healing journey is still consistent, right? Like there's always something to, have like shadow work or, like law of attraction, like meeting other people and seeing like, oh, I kind of see my mirror image in that. So, you know, but yeah, it's a big catalyst of my healing journey, all of those things. I'm grateful for all those people, all those modalities, and then thankful for myself to like just trusting and surrendering and kind of like some blind faith.
So talk about that. There was a question in the group. What did you mean by blind faith?
It's having this knowingness, this feeling that it's all going to work out, but you may not even know how it's going to work out, but you just know it's going to, and then you just take it day by day, do a little bit of research, put some action behind it, ask questions, like not only to yourself but like to the universe, like certain people, even just the air in front of us, our space, being like, kind of like how I healed that girl from the seizure, like what can I do to heal this woman, like what can I do to heal myself? And then when you start to ask those questions, then you're going to receive answers, but you got to be aware when they do come, and then is it going to feel right? Depending on who the person is, the environment, what the modality is, how long it's going to happen for. And yeah, but it's this trusting that like it's all the answers are within, and if for some reason it may not be coming clear from within, then the universe will assist you in on the outside. So blind faith has not only healed me, but it also has guided me to where I am now in Austin, Texas. Like in 2021, I had just moved out of this one house where there was like, I love the people I hung out with. They were like my best friends, and we did so much together in like 4 years hanging out. And I just knew like being around them wasn't serving my highest good. So I moved out and I moved in to a higher vibrational house, which was amazing. And 4 months into it, I'm being told, hey, I'm going to sell the house. And I was like, oh God, I just moved in here. I had this little 6 month to a year plan, and now everything was just gone out the window. So I knew I couldn't go backwards, right? It wouldn't serve me. I didn't want to go back to my parents' house, and my dad wouldn't allow me to move back in because of certain things, riffraff between us. Respectfully honor his views. But I was like, what am I going to do? I didn't have a full-time job. It was going to be really hard to try to find a place. And this affirmation saved my life. I said it morning, noon, and night. I would go on walks like for 3 or 4 miles every night. And I was just like, God, universe, I don't know what to do. I am clueless. I don't know what's going to happen, but the affirmation I repeated is, I trust in the unknowns that the universe puts in front of me are for my best and highest good.
That's
I said,
beautiful.
I said that for weeks, and I cried. I cried so many tears because I was so afraid of what was going to happen, where I was going to go, how this was all going to work out. And then I remember a friend of mine, I was at a full moon ceremony in Hudson, Ohio, Sugar and Falls. And our friend out of the blue, is like showing everyone her phone. And she goes, hey guys, I really want to host a retreat in Costa Rica. And this is a tree house that I would love to do it at. And we're like, oh, amazing. We already see you doing that. And then like 3 or 4 days later, I'm in Independence, Ohio. And I was like at my friend's birthday party. And I had like just got out of my car and I saw this license plate. It had 3 number 8s on it. And I was like, ooh, lucky, synchronicity, angel numbers. I'm very high into that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to check the front of that car. I don't know why, but usually the front and back license plates are the same. I went to go check the front of that car. It had a Costa Rican license plate on it. And I was like, oh my God. And then ever since those 2 moments, I kept getting all these signs to Costa Rica. And then January 4th, I left for Costa Rica, one-way ticket, and I was there for 2 months. Yeah. And then I traveled all over the country and went to like 6 different cities. And then I ended up meeting a life coach who, lo and behold, he actually grew up in Mayfield Heights, Ohio, which actually is connected to Lyndhurst, Ohio. And we grew up 7 minutes apart from each other by car.
Wow.
Yeah. And I met him in Costa Rica.
The universe is a very small place, even though it seems so big.
Oh my gosh. It was absolutely profound. I couldn't even like what are the odds, Like he had went to private school, Catholic school all his life. I went to public school. So like those worlds like never like connect, like hardly ever. And we hung out like a lot. We hung out for days at a time, and he was telling me about the universe and just like these new like energetic frequencies and connections, and really just trusting even like on a higher level than what I had already been doing, but more so like for being of service and to like really be of inspired action, and like trusting like what I'm doing is like the right thing. And like I knew that, but I knew I had to be more, like that's why I started my own business, the Fox Wellness Den, so I could do my energy healings and life coaching, sound healings and breath work, even like chakra alignments and all that. And then, yeah, so basically that's when I was able to, um, yeah, really fully like step into my own power. And I even hired him for a month just to like get my energy up and to really, harness this and really step into what I'm supposed to be, or who I remember myself to be here and why I'm here.
Beautiful. Thank you. What a fascinating story. So
Yeah.
so helping that woman on the beach, like, that made you decide, like, this is something that I want to dedicate my life to. That was the defining moment for you. Would that be an accurate statement?
Um, I wouldn't say that was the defining moment because I was kind of afraid to like kind of step into that power at that point because I had this fear of like what people would think about me. Like I always had that fear, like programmed subconsciously. And I just didn't want people to be like, oh, he's a Reiki master. Like that's so weird, like, and I didn't really know how to like market myself or like put myself out there. It was scary. It was like a whole new world and wasn't really well known in my communities. And yeah, so I just kind of like I didn't do much with it. I really didn't. But I would say that there was a story, a defining moment where I was in Mount Shasta, California. It
Mm-hmm.
was June 20, June 22nd, 2021. We were on top of a mountain for the full moon ceremony. There was like 300 people, drum circle, bonfire, dancing, cooking, and people living in their trucks and vans. It was so much fun. There was a guy in an orange toga who's going around blessing people. And all of a sudden, like we lock eyes. And it was like just a cold, hard stare. And then like we walked like halfway to meet each other. And the first words out of his mouth were, "You're remembering who you are." And I said, dude, I'm doing my best. I feel like I'm almost there, but like I really don't know what's going on. I'm just here. And he goes, "It's okay. It's already there. Just take your time with it." And I said, "Thank you." And then we talked. He blessed me, and then he went to go back like dancing around the circle, enjoying himself. And then about 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, I started to see him have a seizure. And I was like, oh my God, like he was standing and shaking, like he could not control himself. So like I got this intuitive thought saying, go to him. And I said, okay. So I like jogged over to him. And then I was like, okay, Seth, I'm gonna place a hand on your left shoulder, and then another hand on your right wrist. And then as soon as I felt his wrist, like his pulse, it was going like just extremely too fast. So then I just said, okay, just breathe and ground yourself. And I hunkered down and I draw these energies from above to really ground himself into Mother Gaia. And then like literally within seconds, like he stops, like his shaking comes down, his pulse is going like, and then he stops, he's just standing there. And then and he like catches his breath. It's like his body, his astral self came back into his body. And then he drops down to one knee, just huffing and puffing. And then I had like this big smile on my face. And then I kneeled next to him. And then I whispered in his left ear. And I just go, I just remembered who I was.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So tell us more about Reiki. Like, okay, okay, one curiosity I have, the name Fox Wellness Den, where did that come from? And then tell us about Reiki, how it's impacted your life, and if you even want to share client stories, one or two, that would be great as well.
For sure. Yeah. Um, the story is really funny. So, um, I was in a group chat with like 10 of like really good friends of mine, some of them really close friends. And I like asked them, I was like, hey guys, I'm trying to figure out a name for my business, and And like some of them were helping me, came up with some good ideas. And then I just said, you know what? I'm going to call it like the Fox Den, the Fox Den of Wellness. And I remember like telling that to the group. And then like one of my friends, he like, or he like comes back in the message group and he puts like the Fox's Den, like a picture of it. And apparently in Cleveland, Ohio, there was a strip club that was called the Fox's Den. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna
Oh, thanks.
I didn't want to have association to that. So I was like, okay, who else can I ask? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna ask my mom. My mom, my mom has this, I love my mom dearly, and she has like this um infatuating like mindset and like energy to her, like where she can like flip from being like a low conscious human being to like a super high conscious human being. Like it's really fascinating. And she came up with the Fox Wellness Den. So
Beautiful.
love you,
Yeah.
Mom.
That's our gift. That's our gift.
Yeah.
So you mentioned what drew you to Reiki and then doing the training and stuff. But I know part of your story, you said you healed yourself with Reiki. And if anyone on the call or anyone that watches the webinar has not ever experienced that, it's still, if either you know about it or you don't. And if you don't know about it, you're like, what? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if we could just make that a little bit more practical, we could also talk about it in terms of, as this group, like how it could support us in our emotional health, our physical health, if we're fasting, or like I love and we will talk about that more. I love your relationship with the universe. I'm a person who asks a lot of questions as well, so we'll come back to that. But I really want to offer the gift. I've been getting Reiki for, I don't know, like, oh, it's 2004, so almost 20 years. I
Wow.
have a best friend who's a Reiki master, a couple of them,
Yeah.
and just had incredible. And usually the time that I first used them, for me, I was having some type of painful episode, some inflammation, problems with spine and hips, and I would have an instant energetic shift. And it
Wait.
doesn't just have to be used for pain. I'm just saying that was my introduction. One of my girlfriends said, hey, can I help you with that? And, if you're in pain and you can, breathing is painful, you're going to say, I'm going to say yes. You know what I mean? And so that was my introduction to it. But now it's one of those things that when I feel just out of sync, I love that you said helping people rebalance their energy centers, their chakras, is also something that I look forward to an appointment for, because it really does lift my energy and take me to a whole other level. So why don't you talk a little bit about that for us? That would be great.
For sure. So with Reiki, like what you can come to expect is, I always actually, first and foremost, make sure that if you're going to get Reiki, make sure it's from someone that you trust, that you feel good around them, and that you're asking them good questions and they're not coming from like an egoic state or from like a greedy state of like money. Like you want to make sure it's fair, it's equal, it's trusting, it's safe, and you just have this knowingness that it's like, okay, this is the right person. I've experienced people that didn't, it was like once or twice, like people I'm just like, okay, this person really shouldn't be working on me. So like I would have to like call in like extra energy and like protection and be like, okay, I'm being nice, but I'm also doing it for myself. And I've also heard stories of people like getting energy sessions from people and they felt worse. Like the things that they were trying to heal from actually ended up getting more pain, more bruises, enlarging the situation even more. And even just like in a very funky headspace, like there's so many things that could just, I don't want to say just go wrong, but like just have like different notations behind it that are not for your best and highest.
Well, thank you for that. That before you get further into, because you say something very powerful and very important there, that like, just like a doctor, right? We have to do our research. We have to do our mental research, but also our energetic, intuitive research, I would say. And yeah, I am. I didn't even think to ask that, but I did say it was a girlfriend of mine, and she's like a sister from another mother. But we do need to, no matter who we go to see for anything, we really need to make sure that there's some type of connection and pay attention to our intuition if it tells us maybe not. Like I have this saying, no flow, no go. If I try to do something a few times and it doesn't seem to work, I say no flow, no go. And I got that from a friend. And it's like, oh, how do I know I'm not supposed to do that? It's not working. Do you know what I mean? Like a few times, or with a practitioner, any type of healing modality, or a meditation coach, a life coach, you know, anything, a job even, you know, like we have to pay attention to those that just notice, like you said, that's so beautiful. Notice how you feel. Do you feel lifted? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel free? Like what are you feeling in that person's energy in that place? I mean, I'm like that even with the restaurant. If I walk in, I go one time, I might go because a group of people. If it wasn't right for me, I don't care who it is. I'm like, yeah, no, no, thanks. And I don't need to go into it because it just might not be for me. So thank you for saying that. All right, I'll turn it back over to you.
No, no worries. I'm glad you were able to share that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so then after that, and then what you can experience from a session, like everyone's gonna be different, you know, like I've had people feel totally electric afterwards. Like they have like their entire body just feels like an energetic flow state, like just like electricity and energy like flowing like a river, like up and down. I've had people experience like warmness, tinglingness. I've had people experience even cold sensations. Um, like I did a Reiki event one time, and one person on one side of the room was like, "Yeah, I felt like when your hands were on me, like it felt like a heat wave, like almost like like a volcano type feeling." And I was like, "Wow, that's really interesting." She's like, "I felt super amazing though, but like it just got really hot." And I said, "All right, cool." And then like a person on the other side of the room was like, yeah, it felt like I was on top of like a mountain and it was like super cold, you know, like your touch was. And I said, wow, that's super interesting, you know? It's just like people are going to have different experiences, different sensations, you know? So yeah,
And
but
you
as long
know, like the common reasons that most people come to you for a session, you know, because people might not know about that as well.
beautiful question. All sorts of things. People who feel lost, like they're trying to find their soul, people who are in pain, people who are just like wanting to experience like an energetic balance within them, like having more mental clarity, physical pains, even like deepening their spirituality, even to attract more abundance, even to power up their manifestations. Like you can use Reiki energy for just about anything. And I've seen people, you know, heal themselves from lupus disease. I've seen people get hundreds of thousands of dollars after a few Reiki sessions. I've seen people attract like, you know, like free meals from people, and, you know, just even get job opportunities, pay raises, and even like free tickets to music festivals. It's it's amazing, you know, like when you just get to higher states of consciousness and like in your own frequency of like love and light and just peace or ease and grace, the universe really starts to, you know, bless you with all these miracles as you become a super attractor, and like you're just so present, you know, like you're not even thinking about the miracles and blessings that are like happening for you. You're just like, oh wow. You just show gratitude and appreciation. So you could basically get Reiki energy for anything that you really want in life, as long as it's for your best and highest, and it's not coming from a place of, you know, like, you know, shame or like guilt per se. Or no, I take that back. You don't want to do it like, you know, harming someone else or like something bad. You know, you want to have a pure intention behind it. And even if someone's feeling like low, or just, I'm here to assist people in remembering who they are so they have the power to heal themselves. And that's something else that I really want to start offering more, is teaching people how to heal themselves. So like I will be basically the last Reiki master that they will go to, or the last life coach that they'll ever go to, because then you'll become one for yourself and for others. And then we just keep making those ripple effects to create that promised land, heaven on earth.
That's beautiful. So a session essentially clears up energetic blocks that we might have, that seem like it's keeping us from whatever the thing is that we want to experience, whether like it's greater, like you said, greater sense of ease and flow, or peace, or freedom, or joy, or prosperity, with respect to money or travel or anything like that. So that's really beautiful. I don't know that I've heard it put quite like that before.
Yeah,
So that's really cool. That's really cool.
yeah,
So there was something else that you said that I wanted to, okay. So you were going to talk about, and I know that you have shorts on your YouTube channel about that. I heard you say a couple things. You talk about breathing a lot, that you learned to do that in your own, with your own self, like just even your experience with the woman on the beach, and then your own life. But you were going to talk about using energy in our daily life. And I'd love for you to spend some time on that, because that would be a maximum benefit to all of us.
absolutely. Wow, energy in my daily life. Yeah, you have your life force energy, which is your breath, right? So the more that we can like slow down and like a lot of the things that we are doing, we become more present and like more conscious and aware. So we can just concentrate on just like one thing, like we're not having our energy like out here, be like, oh, I'm thinking about this thing, like, oh, I got this happening this weekend, and oh, that thing on the news, or like, oh, something's happening like internally. Like when we just have just one thing, like we just put our energy into that and you're good, right? Just for like those moments. Um, Even like setting intentions, like in the morning, like here's like one that I absolutely love, and I learned it earlier this year, or end of last year. Universe, show me how much you love me today. Like those
Mhm.
words and that energy is so powerful and magnetic, and then it just has to have the universe be like, I will. I will, because I know, because the universe will know that you're going to love it back, you know?
Mm.
Because you said that to it, and then you're going to receive that love, and you're going to be appreciative of that love, and then you'll show the universe how much you'll love it by being who you are and being of service. And you just keep that relationship going, and you're starting to do dances like the mashed potato and the salsa dance and ballroom dancing and the stanky leg.
That's so great. So that's
Yeah.
connecting to the breath is important. Setting intentions is a way of using energy in our daily life. Anything else you want to share? Because I also know that you are a mindfulness practitioner, and you share those practices, uh,
Yeah.
coach, but also in your healing sessions as well.
Yes, I love to use the breath. It's so powerful. I like to use meditations as well, because that really just gets us like in the body and like really relaxes the blood pressure as well, and regulates the nervous system. Um, and you can even use energy to like clear things around the room, and like even make an environment even better as well when you have a very high, pure, powerful intention. And
What would that look like? What would that look like, clearing energy in a room? Give us an example if you don't mind.
I'd be happy to. So I remember, oh, which one? Oh, which story? Okay. Okay. So I was in Las Vegas for a bachelor party, and it was like a group of like 12 of us. And like we were at this day club. And I remember it was super packed, like shoulder to shoulder. And uh a lot of my friends in the friend group love to dance. So I was like, okay, what can I do to like make sure that we have enough room to dance, and no one's gonna like interrupt us by trying to like scoop by and mess up our flow. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna use energy. So I imagine like a room, and you have like four corners. So like I would create like a box in each corner of the room. And even though this was like an outdoor day club, I just found 4 places like kind of opposite of each other, but still equal, like distance wise. And then each box, I would fill it up with energy and intention of like, no one's going to disrupt our flow. We're going to have enough space to dance, and everyone's just going to go to the other side of the club or everywhere else, and we're just going to have an amazing time. So then I would just I just started like meditating and started praying, and then just putting all the energy into those boxes with my intention and love. I did that for about probably 5 or 6 minutes or so, just standing there, like while everyone else is talking and drinking. And I don't drink alcohol, so obviously it's a lot easier for me to channel energy. And then like after I did that, then I just like I let it go. And then like just after about like 10 minutes or so, like our group started, like we each had like probably 3 or 4 yards of space, like all 12 of us. And like we were dancing, we were happy, and like we had like this huge pocket of space. And then everyone had room, and then like all the people in the day club like were going like around us or like just hanging out at the other side of the club. And like for the next 3 hours we were undisturbed, and everyone had an amazing time. And I was able to cultivate just that space alone with just our energy. It was like our own like energy bubble, our own vortex.
Wow. Wow.
And everyone was like guided and protected and safe. And yeah, it was amazing. So
That's a really beautiful story. In practical, in everyday life, it was just making me think about like what kind of energy do I have in my room? Like wherever I am, that would be a beautiful thing to just take a moment. Like you said, it only took you 5 or 6 minutes to just sit and just be intentional about the space and how we want that energy to be. And I'm also thinking that today's Friday for us. It's the day that this group typically fasts. I don't know
mm,
that I've ever started my morning with an intention or like when we do it. So
yeah.
for that, or just the energetic, it made me reach for my water bottle and like and say, okay, I'm sipping on love today. I'm sipping on love today. So thank you for that. So I really appreciate that. Because the thing about these modalities, right, is how, yes, I want to be of service wherever I am. I want to be of maximum benefit to all beings. But there's something you said earlier, and we'll come back to more about the different healing modalities and mindfulness. You talk a lot about being of service, and Eckhart Tolle says in A New Earth, he invites us to ask the question each day, ask life, how can I serve you today? Right? Because we tend to think about like, oh, I got to go to work, or I got to do this, or whatever those things are. But wherever we are, the reason we're on the planet right now is because life has need of an organ named us, to quote Emerson, right? How shall we assume the post? Do I want to show up peacefully? Do I want to show up joyfully? Do I want to show up as an expression of vibrant health? Whatever that thing is. But to begin to think in terms of like everywhere we are is an opportunity to be in service to life. And so you talking about that reminding us that we're energetic beings, right? And we can go to someone to help us balance our energy field, but right where we are, we have the power to do that. That's a really beautiful, that's a really really wonderful reminder. So back to you, any more practices that you recommend or you use and want to share with the group? We'd love to hear them.
Yeah, I always recommend deep breathing, just taking your time, just like going in through your nose, and you could just like hold the breath for a few moments, and then you could just slowly exhale from your nose or mouth, whichever you prefer, and just go. It's just really just being slowly and methodically or methodical with it, and just really connecting to yourself. I really love that one. Um One thing I love to do, and I've actually been doing it a lot more since it's come into my awareness more, is mirror work. So like okay, it might sound a little weird, but I like to like sit down in front of a mirror and like I will look into my own soul, like through my own eyes, and then I will just kind of gaze, and I'll get some like really awesome experiences. Like I will start to see like my aura like through the mirror. I will I will start to see myself in like visions of like the future. I will act like I'm talking to myself. I'll be like, you are an amazing, incredible human being. And like, thank you for all the service that you do. Like, you are beautiful and energetic, and you're so pure and kind-hearted. And like everything you do just has, like just an alchemized, action to it, and people love you, they respect you, they honor you because they see and feel what you are doing for this planet. And yeah, so I highly recommend mirror work. That's like one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah,
Um,
Hey introduced us to that. Before you go on, can we back up to the breathing? Because you talk about breath, and then Eric, I see that you have a question, so I'll pass it over to you when he takes a second. But can you talk to us a little bit about like what it is about breath that besides the fact that it resets our nervous system? I know you work with it a lot. I know you work with it in your sessions. Um, yes, intellectually, we all know how important the breath is, but most of us don't. I don't want to say most, I'll speak for myself. It's really easy to forget about how important the breath is, and taking those pauses, like you said, to breathe deeply. So if you could touch on that just a little bit, and then we'll let Eric ask a question.
for sure. When I first learned about breath work, it was at the end of 2019. It was through martial arts class, and my
Mhm.
teacher high on teaching us pranayama. And it's always such a powerful experience. It's sometimes it's tricky because it's just like when we were younger, and like if you were crying or like you got the wind knocked out of you, like people always say just breathe, just breathe, and then you would kind of breathe like like a few times or something, and then you would feel better, and then you would kind of forget after that like to breathe even more. It's just like we were always taught to breathe a few times and like that was it. And then as we're getting older, and especially being in this fast-paced environment, in America, when we can really slow down and take our time with things, like the breath is just the best way to do that. And like the longer that you could do like breathing exercises, like if you could just take even just 5 or 10 minutes like in the morning to just really just be with your breath, as consciously and present as you can, then it's like anything. It's like you're building that muscle, the diaphragm, you're building your neural paths in your brain to like learn something new and to be more focused on just one singular thing, the breath. It does get easier, but it also takes motivation, consistency, some determination, and having an inspiration behind it as well. Those are big keys. So all those will fit together. I
Cool.
hope that answers that.
I think so. I think so. The one thing I find, I facilitated a group meditation last night, is it brings me to the present moment.
Yeah.
When I do something from Thich Nhat Hanh, I just keep it simple, breathing in, breathing out. Because usually whenever I start, if it's not at the beginning of the day, right, my mind might be racing from the time of day. And so if I just think breathing in, breathing out, and I can feel myself like just drop deeper, and I can feel the breath even get deeper. And I have a tendency to breathe with my left hand in the center of my chest and my right hand on my belly, just to anchor me, to drop me into the body. But the other thing I notice is I've been meditating 20, a little more than 20 years, I think. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But there is this cumulative effect. I was talking about this last night with that connection with the breath, is that in times of stress now I can actually feel myself shallow breathing, and
Ooh,
and then I there's like this overwhelming fear, like the worst possible case scenario start to run. But
yeah.
as I touch it, just this says to my body, oh, breathe deeply. Like I don't even have to think, like breathe deeply, like it starts it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, wait, I believe in the best case scenario. So I was saying that to say that, like, and it doesn't always have to be like one, I noticed that it resets something. It moves me from out of my head into my body. It also moves me from fear into, like, there seems to be some kind of openness, just the breath does. And I love that you said you use the example of children. I have grandbabies, and I love watching that little guy, the youngest one, his belly go up and down. Like they whole body breathe all the time. Even the 6-year old, they whole body breathe all the time. And sometimes I've found, as a person who has a history of addiction and lots of medication from a small age, I've found the breath to be this amazing tool. I mean, I used to suffer from anxiety and depression and things like that, and I used to take medications for them. And when I stopped, the breath, I mean, I used to have like pretty severe panic attacks and insomnia and stuff like that. And just catching my breath. And then, like you said, putting some intention behind it, or inspiration behind it, like just is just this powerful free tool that we don't have to go anywhere. And it can be in the moment, it can be life changing, because especially if you're like in a moment of panic or something like that. So thank you for that example. All right, Arik, I'm going to stop talking now so you can ask a question.
Oh, first of all, I was thinking that maybe it was about time to open the microphones, to open the mics to the people to ask their questions
Yes,
first. So
that was
yeah.
okay.
So guys, if you have any questions, you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask. Yeah. Okay. So basically, so I will start. So Alexander, first of all, thank you so much. It's fascinating, really, really interesting story. Thank you. Now, at what age were you diagnosed with Crohn's disease?
It was it was like when I was 25.
Mm-hmm. And prior to that, were you interested in any kind of healing practices or spiritual development?
No, not really. I
Mm-hmm.
had seen like a few psychics, like went to like a few mediumship shows, like with my neighbor who was like into like some spiritual stuff, but I never like did anything more than that. And it was just like a few times.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Okay.
none of,
Yeah.
I was,
And how did you take it when the doctor told you that you had this Crohn disease? So because you had probably experienced some symptoms prior to that, right? I guess.
Mhm.
So how long prior to that had you experienced your symptoms?
It was probably I'd probably say about 4 months or so. But I was experiencing like pain and I was losing weight. And then when
Mm-hmm.
I had that loose stool when I was walking in the hallway at college,
Mm-hmm.
that's like when it was like, okay, there's something seriously wrong here. And then that's when I got to go to the first doctor. And actually, the first doctor, she was like, I'm pretty sure I know what you have, but I'm not going to be the one that's going to diagnose you. And I was like, fine. And then I went to the second doctor and they're like, yeah, we're pretty sure you have Crohn's. And then I got the colonoscopy and then they told me it was for sure. And I thought my life was over. I had
Wow.
no idea how I was gonna survive. And I cried so much. And it was really tough. Like I would just have like
Mm-hmm.
all these moments of just crying and just saying like, wow, what did I do to deserve this? And of course I knew exactly what I did. But
Yeah. And tell me, looking back now or reflecting back, what would you say caused this disease from your point of view right now at the first place? Like, could you point out a certain factor or like the variety of factors?
Yeah, it was definitely cheating on my girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
like lying to her about it. It was very tough on me because like I had carried all that shame and guilt and like fear, and like I was never able to fully express it. I just because I'd always been,
Mm,
you know, subconsciously programmed and consciously programmed to like hide my emotions and feelings, you know, as a
mm-hmm.
man, because I
Mm-hmm.
was never able to express it. So my cortisol level started to really rise up inside of me. And, you know, I was really addicted to cannabis. So I wasn't fully like myself. I was always like in an altered state. Um,
Mm,
and then I also ate pretty poorly. I was eating a lot of fast food,
mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of burgers, a lot of dairy. There was just no balance of like
Okay.
me being healthy at all.
Wow.
So there's a lot of it was a handful of things that all led up to that. But the first thing was me and the girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you said you were diagnosed at the age of 25, and when, at what age did you have this recognition that you were healed?
29, 20, about 28, I'd say, going on
Mm-hmm.
to 28.
Very interesting. And since then, since that cognition, have you had any like medical checks confirming that there is no disease there, or you just base it on your inner feeling?
Oh, I based it on my inner feeling. I refused to go back to doctor's offices because
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time I was feeling really great about it. And then and I was telling him like, yeah, I changed my diet. I was changing all these things in my life and I was feeling really great.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went to that last doctor's office and I was like just about being cured at that point, I experienced symptoms again, like
Mm.
4 days later. And I was like, what the heck? You know, like why all of a sudden was this coming back up? And then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, so then I really just took the time. I got in like meditative state. I started doing my self healings on me. I started to just eat a little bit like more fruit and vegetables to really try to clear this out and be more
Mm-hmm.
connected. And then I found my groove back. And then the only problems I've ever experienced with my stomach is just like if I got a stomach bug or something like that. But other than that, I've been golden. And
Okay, great, great. And when you went to the doctor and you said that your condition deteriorated a little bit, did the doctor express any kind of disbelief or any kind of saying that would, show his disbelief in your healing? And after that, it happened, or it's just so? How was it?
um, the doctor told me that diet didn't play a role. It's just like diet
Okay.
didn't play anything into healing yourself. Like there's no science, there's no evidence that really proves that. And I was like, dang, I feel differently than what you're
Yeah.
saying. Like you could show me anything, but like my experience is truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what was the main factor that caused you to look for a alternative solution? Because you said that initially they put you on regular drugs and stuff like that. Now, what made you look for other solutions for that?
Well, after being on the medicine for just about like 4 years or so, I realized that I couldn't be on that medicine for the rest of my life. I did not want to spend, you know, like I would have to go in for an infusion every 8 weeks on a Saturday morning for about 2 hours.
Mm,
And I was like, I do not want to ruin my Friday nights, waking up early on Saturday and sitting in this room watching Netflix and, just being stuck to this thing. I said, I need to find another way. I know
mhm,
there's got to be something else out there. And then like I just started to have like this belief that there's other things out.
mm. Okay,
Yeah.
and did you look for specific solution for your condition, or you, because you worked with universal energy, it healed that condition? Like, did you go on Google, for example, and Google like healing, like natural remedies for Crohn's disease or something like that?
Yeah, I started to do more research in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and by the way, I was like at the age of like 23, 24. I was like
Mm.
not 25. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But no, like when I first discovered that energy, and then I started to feel better about life. And there was that one Western medicine when I switched to it, I started to gain some weight back and I felt lighter. And I was like, okay, I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I knew I couldn't be on it forever. And then all these things just started coming into place. I started meeting more spiritual people, more healers.
Mm, okay.
So everything was just like a stepping stone, a puzzle piece into how I was able to heal.
Amazing. Yeah. And my last question. So how would you say that there was one main factor that contributed to your healing, or it was like a variety of factors?
Oh, it was a variety of factors because I was, it like I remember a sound healing I had with tuning forks and sound bowls at my friend's house in upstate New York, and that felt amazing. Like I felt so centered. And she told me, like, you're a sponge. Like you're a sponge that just got
Mm-hmm.
squished, like tied
Mm-hmm.
up because you bring in, you absorb like all the energy and emotions of like other people, and you don't know how to like clear yourself of that. And I was like, oh, snap. You're right. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that way. And then after I got done with that I felt so much better. But then it was still learning how to not be that sponge, like she could tell me that, but I still had to go out in that world and not absorb, I had to observe instead.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a
Mm.
big factor.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. Yeah. And so today, do you feel that, yeah, actually I have another one. So do you feel today that you can eat pretty much everything and be fine with that? Or you still have sometimes instances when you eat something and you feel that, you know, it's more sensitive, it kind of comes back a little bit. So,
Mm,
or it doesn't happen.
Beautiful question. When I'm like not sick, like if I have a stomach bug or something like that, then
Mm-hmm.
I got what I eat. But if I'm like feeling amazing, I I do limit how much I eat. I try to eat smaller meals and I eat them very slowly and consciously now.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can eat anything, but I do choose more organic as I possibly can. I I eat whole foods. I do eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Um, I stay away from dairy at least like 99% of the time. Like every once in a blue moon, I'll indulge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have been eating a little bit more meat lately. So I would have like a piece of fish, but um, when I do eat meat, I meditate beforehand and I will really connect myself with the soul of the fish. And
Mm-hmm.
then like I will pray over it. I'll do an energy clearing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll even light an incense or like some like Palo Santo or something and
Mm-hmm.
just really like raise the vibration.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
And then I eat very slowly, like I'll cut like 3 pieces and then like I'll chew on it and then I let it like go down and then I'm just like okay, and then I'll sit and breathe
Mm.
and then I'll go back into eating it because I I really realize like the speed in like your love for it, your divine connection is so much more powerful with any and all foods, but I put a little bit more emphasis on meat because my soul has called for me to eat just a little bit more like as of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very happy with the results. So I'm
Wow.
just on a very slow pace of just, being mindful about that.
Beautiful. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Alba,
you.
thank
Love
you.
your question.
Thank you so much. Alba, over to you, and maybe you can ask other guys. Maybe they also
Yeah,
have any
sure.
more
If anybody
questions.
has questions, if you don't want to ask them, you can type them in the chat and I'll be happy to ask, or you can take yourself off mute. I wanted to ask two things actually, but I'll do one first because of something that Arik said and just the way in which you answered his questions. You put as part of your talk today that it was going to be about blind faith become clear as day. Could you talk a little bit about becoming clear as day? I think you've showed us some ways that you do, but I'd like to make it a little bit more practical for the rest of us.
For sure. Yeah, like I've been on this path since 2018, and it's just reiterating, like just having this knowingness that it's all going to work out, like when I didn't know where my life was going to go, I thought maybe I would have been homeless. I just trust in the unknowns that the universe puts in front of me are for my best and highest good. And then I was able to get those synchronicities to Costa Rica. And then I started traveling in Costa Rica, and then I saw all these synchronicities for Texas. I saw the Longhorn symbols, and I was like, okay, the universe is telling me to go to Texas. And I don't know anyone in Texas, like besides my second cousin who lives in Austin, but I rarely talk to him anymore, because we're on such different wavelengths. Like I'm so spiritual, he's so like business oriented. We just didn't mesh well after a while. But I was like, okay, but I get to move to Austin, Texas. And I told myself, all right, I'm going to trust in this universe. So I have this blind faith that I moved to Austin, Texas. It's going to work out. And then I moved to Austin, Texas, and I started meeting some spiritual people. I found a Casa de Luz, which has like, they could teach classes there. And I started hosting my events of Reiki, meditation, breath work, and sound healing. And then I started to get some clients, and really things just started to like work out. And I said, wow, I didn't know how this was going to work out, but it is. Like I don't have to do, I get to do some of my own advertising, but they advertise for me. And yeah, and then things just started to just fall into place, and I just was able to be of service and just see what else was possible. And like if I didn't go to Costa Rica, if I would have stayed home in Ohio, like I never would have met my life coach. I never would have came to Texas and just taken a chance on faith, blind faith, just, seeing like what else is possible. So
I like that. I think I'm going to borrow your definition for blind faith is being open to whatever else is possible. I love that. I love that. One last thing, and Revital, if you do have a question, please chime in. You talked very briefly, but if you would elaborate on to the way you mindfully eat, and a lot of the things you have said, obviously you had to become present and be mindful. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Like what brought you to mindful living, and then specifically how you just the way you were just talking about how you pray over your food, and just that.
yeah, absolutely. When I started learning about meditation and like breath work and all of that, I started to incorporate that into my life. And then when I went into teaching, I was able to teach it to kindergartners in the public schools. And that was really beautiful. And then I joined a nonprofit where I taught it to high schoolers in the inner city schools in Cleveland, Ohio. And that was even more amazing. So then I was like, okay, there's really something to this. And then like when I really started to be more conscious about the food, I just say prayers like dear Mother, Father, God, Infinite Spirit, like thank you for this meal, thank you for all the souls, all the hands, all the energy that was able to put this food on my plate. And if I talk about if I have the fish or like a meat in front of me, I'll be like, I bless this soul, I cry for its life, and I energetically align to it so we can raise our vibration to source energy, and then we could really be a divine conduit of just service and health and love, and just really alchemize each other to bring forth our best and highest in each other and of each other. And the prayer switches off every now and then, but that's just one of the prayers that I would say. And eating very slowly helps as well, like just like chewing it very slowly and swallowing it, and then like taking a few deep breaths, just like, okay, just relax into it, be one with it. And then you could take another bite, and then I usually like to have water. That's usually the best thing. And then I'll take I'll take a nice sip, you know, after like a few bites, and then like really slow down and just kind of allow things to settle, and then continue on. And then even after I'm eating, I'll even take like a few extra minutes to just sit and meditate and just kind of focus on the breath or just be in stillness. And then that really helps your vibration even more. And like, you don't feel as full either. Like, you don't feel like you're too heavy. You know, you're like at a very happy medium, as one would say.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I noticed that I don't always do it. I do eat slower than most people. It's just been my experience. But I notice the difference of when I'm not mindful when I'm eating. I feel bloated. I feel indigestion, even if it's fruit. You know what I mean? Or I don't feel comfortable. But if I
Yeah.
take time and I'm present, and a friend shared a practice with me that I'm hoping to start now that the weather's changing here, is she eats all of her meals outside and she eats them in silence. And so that
Oh,
that feels, yeah, really cool to connect. Did anyone else have any questions? Thank you so much. This has been really great.
yeah. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I'm sorry I was a bit late, so I hope I'm not going to ask something that you've already mentioned.
Oh,
That you said you cured yourself of Crohn disease. That's what I understand.
yes.
And mainly by spirituality, mindfulness, meditation. That's what you're saying. How do you think you mainly cured yourself? You said it's a variety of things. It's a combination of things. Obviously, also the detoxification and nutrition. But you're also saying the mindfulness, the meditation, the spirituality. Okay. And is there any other thing you had except for Crohn's disease? Is there any other thing you cured yourself of?
I mean, like little things, you know, like maybe like some aches and pains in myself if I got injured, like maybe playing soccer, or you know, like if I had some headaches or something just randomly. I'm able to just like tune in, just like get to a very meditative state, a very like wholesome state within myself, and I'll just kind of either breathe or just really connect to like a 0 point gravity energetic state, which is basically like where you like meditate and you basically become like hollow within yourself. Like you just like you almost feel like you don't feel like you're in your body, but you're still like of your body. Those are some of the things that have helped me with some of those like things, like even like colds and like illnesses, where I'm able to really like clear out more and more. And you know, I still use things like, you know, remedies of like, you know, like herbal teas and, you know, eating healthy, um you know, even like some sound frequencies as well, like meditation, even doing yoga, that really helped too. That was really able to actually that was another big catalyst, because when you do yoga stretches, it really massages your organs, massages your digestive tract. It gets you out of the mind as well, and it's a good detoxification. So yeah, when I say there's so many remedies, like I forgot yoga was a good one.
And you said Reiki, right? You used it on yourself. What, you just touched yourself? Could you heal yourself with Reiki?
Yes. At that time, I was still like learning how to really use the Reiki on myself, and I wasn't consistent enough with it. But that's why like I had other people assisting me, you know, like other energy healers, other sound healers. I was still so new to the energy, you know, like especially in 2019 to 2020. And then when I was able to cure myself 1 year later after that ball of energy story with the woman, then things started to click more. So I started to use it, and uh it really just got familiar and easier for me to keep on using it for when I need to. And sometimes I'll just like to play with energy. Like I remember one time I was at a party and I I created my own ball of energy. I'm just kind of sitting there and everyone else is drinking and smoking, and I'm just like playing with the energy, just going up like up my shoulders into my chest. And I remember a friend of mine across the room, he's like, "Yo, Fox, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Just playing with energy." And he just smiles and just goes, "Please don't ever change." So yeah.
Specifically, I mean, you know, I've got a problem. Everyone does. I know I've got a problem, which I'm treating, of course, with herbs and supplements and nutrition. But in addition to that, in terms of spirituality, I know I've got an absorption and insufficiency. Though I feel great, but I've also got loss of bone mass. Like I'm feeling great, but you know, I don't feel, I don't wait for things to you know, to for things to collapse altogether. I like to take care of things beforehand, before the outburst of some kind of disease. So, you know, would you have any suggestions for that, like bone loss and insufficient sufficiencies and absorption problem? Like we're also spiritual beings. It's not just about the physical part. I mean, I know that's the way we think, and you know, all these spiritual energy exercises, they have an effect on the physical body. So
Yeah. So by no means am I a doctor.
yeah, no, doctors know even less than
Yeah, right.
I don't even consult doctors, because all they do, they give medications that work on the symptoms, and in the long run, and like just like you said, you have to get married to them, and it's for life, and
Yeah.
and not to mention the side effects. So actually, there's no point. I've realized they do more harm than good. As I
Yeah.
like somebody said, I don't remember who, but they said that actually doctors are drug dealers for big pharmas.
I agree. I agree with that. I will say Western medicine has, has helped a lot of people. It's not just like, it's not all like bad and evil and like whatever. They have done
It's
some.
about the chronic situations, not, you know, traumas that they take care of it. It's about these diseases that, you know, these long-term diseases, that's the problem with medication. That's the problem.
Right. For sure. Yeah, yeah. I'm just not trying to totally put it down because it has done good, but they've done a lot of bad stuff too. There's no doubt about it. But to kind of go back to what you were saying about having, absorption issues and some bone mass deficiency, was that it?
Yeah. And also I know other deficiencies, but mainly bone. Yeah. Even though I eat mainly on fruit and vegetables, and of course I eat all the vitamins and minerals, I know that I've got deficiencies, like from the tests.
Okay, interesting. Don't be afraid to ask yourself questions, like really sit with yourself, like in silence, and then just like ask yourself, like, what's going to get my bone deficiency up to a state where it's normal, where it's healthy, and it's maintainable and sustainable? Just like play around with the words and questions like inside of yourself. And then also
I also know that I had a diagnosis, not from doctors, but from alternative healers, that it's about toxicity. I'm also working about that bio and metal toxicity, you know, that you have to tackle. You have to solve the root of the problem, because not just like doctors give you things for the symptoms to you know, make the bone you know, the bone everything, every organ, it builds itself, and then it disintegrates. And what these medicine do is just like delay the disintegration part. So you get the illusion that you've got more density, but of course they don't really solve the problem. You have to solve the underlying problem, which is detox mainly, and heal the body so it could function and do the work itself. So,
Yeah.
I know all the technicalities, but in terms of spirituality and things like that, if you have any suggestion.
Yeah, it could even be something deeper too, like something like on like your emotional side, or something even like karmic that happened in your life, or maybe even in a past life to why something's happening to you now. So that's something else that could be in consideration, because our souls are infinite, so like even things that have happened in past lives, or like even like ancestral trauma, gets carried down into you, and we get to have the choice to heal from all of that. So it's also those things to take into consideration. But yeah, and your subconscious mind, I think this is going to play a pivotal role. It really doesn't know the difference between like reality and fantasy. So play with words as well, like, and play with the feeling of like, oh, I'm already healed. Like, see yourself as your perfect, healthy, and wealthy self, but not just say it, and not just think it, but feel it, and then like act like it, like see, like even talk to your bones, because that's conscious, that's who you are. Be like, bones, I see you, I feel you, I know we're going through this, but we are going to heal. We are already healed, and then like affirm it, say it like, oh my God, bones, we're healing from ourselves, like we're happy and we're healthy and we're strong, like play it with different tones and frequencies. And, just as you're smiling, enjoying this moment right now, like have that with your bones and with your absorption, and like whatever you believe you need, like absorption, like you are strong, you are healthy, and like you're absorbing all of this new nutrients and all these vitamins, and you are spreading out to all aspects of my being so I can be at my best and highest self. That was something that just came through.
Yeah, and I like the part you said about emotional work. And yeah, I've heard it before about ancestors, a karmic stuff. I mean, do you think we could break some kind of vicious circle, or get to some closure that we're been carrying ever since childhood, or even for a few generations? I heard that before, and it resonates with me. Like,
Yeah.
so do you think we can?
Yeah, I already do that with people. I do past life regression healings. So I don't just do past lives, like like people will go into like a hypnotic state and someone guides you like through your subconscious mind of a past life you had. But we will literally meditate together, and then I will begin to tell you like what past life you had, especially ones that were like full of guilt, shame, like bad karma, like despair, you know, and then like I'll share that with you. I'll share you the storyline where you came from, what was happening, every like even the energies behind it. And then I'll use my Reiki energy, and then I will clear the whole like emotional feeling state of it, so you can transmute it, and so like those emotions and feelings will no longer affect you. And that's where it starts at the root, and then we start to clear that line, that cord, all the way fully into where you are now. And then and this is like even where people can experience miracles and abundance too, because you just healed yourself from a lot of heaviness from a past life. So you're even more love and light of energy now to even receive more.
Yeah, there's something about it, that the guilt, the shame we seem to be carrying, sometimes it's already in our DNA. And,
Oh yeah.
Or the misery and of previous generations of our ancestors is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's so much to it, and it's even so hard for me to like label all of the services that I can do, because I know I can do everything, but it's like I don't want to overwhelm people with everything that I can do, because it's so much for them to read. And it's like, you know, I want people to try to get the main things that I know that will resonate with them and that are powerful and beneficial. And then they'll be like, okay, yeah, like, let's do it. So
There's a lot to emotional detox. It's not just about physical detox. And
yeah,
yeah,
it's really reprogramming your subconscious mind, breaking old patterns, beliefs, paradigms, and really cultivating like restored faith, restored love, restored clarity, and restore of being whole with yourself and the universe, and remembering who you are.
yeah, we're so yeah, we're definitely much more than physical matter. So more than the body. Thank you so much. Thank you very
Great
much.
questions. Thank you.
That was amazing. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a beautiful exchange. So what maybe give us 3 tips that we can use in our daily lives moving forward that would benefit us to that restoration that you just talked about? Restored love, restored faith, restored wholeness.
Yeah, showing gratitude. That's like one of the biggest things. Appreciation for all that you are, for all that you have, and for all that you will get, or for all that you are, for all that you have, for all that you've experienced, and for all that you are going to experience. That'll play a huge vital role moving forward. Be kind and gentle to yourself, you know, and like just all aspects of what you can. Like, there's no need to be hard on yourself or get down on yourself, you know, like we kind of been programmed to do that, like, oh, I didn't do that right, or oh, that could have been better, whatever. So just be like, okay, you know, I did that, and if I think I could do better, then I'm going to do better next time, you know. And it's always a learning process, you know. There's always just, it's never a loss, it's always a lesson. It's one of my best friends back home. He brought that to my awareness. He's a wrestling coach, and I said, "Oh, I'm taking that. Thank you." And what's a third tip?
Breathe.
Yeah, breathe. Yeah, breathe is amazing. You could totally do that. And always be open to seeing like what else is possible. You know, like there's so much information out there. There's so much knowledge and wisdom and feelings and energies. And, you know, be open to learn and observe, and then see what feels right for you, what's gonna make you feel love and light. And if it does that, then okay, you can incorporate that, take that with you. And if it doesn't, then just allow that energy just to be pushed back, and then send that with love and light and just respect, and then keep calm and carry on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Alexander, this has been an amazing experience. I will get his contact information. I think I have it, but I'll just confirm it with you after this call and give that to Arik so that we can post it in the group, how to get in touch with you, how to experience Reiki. I live in Dallas. He lives in Austin, which we're a couple 100 miles away, almost 300 miles away. But I have experienced a Reiki session with him. It was very, very powerful. And I'm about to experience another one, get on his calendar for that. So it, like I said, it's just an incredible energetic boost, and that moves blockages. And I noticed that physically I felt better for a couple of weeks as well, like for about a month, actually. It was a very powerful session for me. And then he also does one-on-one coaching. As he says, he practices many different modalities. So I just think that Alexander is a treat and a beautiful soul on the planet that I'm happy that we all have the honor to walk with at this time. And it looks like we just got a question. So I want to ask that for you, Vanessa. How do we go about to perceive energy more? Oh, that's a great one.
How do we go about to perceive energy more? That's an amazing question. One of my patients actually asked me that question before. You definitely want to be mindful about that, because if you want to perceive energy more, like then you will. But everything is energy, so like when you go out in public, like there could be people not having the best of days, or like they have like an unconscious like energy to them. So you want to be mindful about that. But to perceive energy more, like just really being present. And if you're in a situation where like you might be questioning something, or something may feel off, then you're already perceiving something. If you're already knowing that, or if you're already experiencing something that makes you feel like love and light and at peace, then you're already perceiving energy. It's just really being about mindful and aware of like what's happening around you. That's how you can perceive energy more. But I wouldn't recommend tapping into like other people's energy. Be like, oh, I wonder what that person's feeling right now, because you want to have privacy. Like I've met a few people who vouch that they can like read people's minds, but like they don't do it because they don't want to know what's going on in there. It's just something that like happens to them like accidentally, and it's just like, oh no, like that's theirs. It's too much for them to take on their own. So yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Vanessa, let us know if it did or it didn't. I like something that you said is notice how we're feeling. And
Yeah.
so even if I'm feeling fear or anxious or worried, that's energy too, right? I remember sitting with a woman. She was a beautiful gardener, but she told me that she worried a lot. And I said, well, if you planted a rose bush, would you expect it to be peonies? And she said, no. And I said, well, you can't grow peace planting worry. And so that for her, that was a very practical way to work with energy. And so, but the biggest thing that you said is paying attention to how we feel, and then realize that is energy that we're expending and sending out to the universe that's going to return to us. If we want to feel something different, then the breath is a great way to reconnect so that we can feel something else. And there's another question. Sunita, please go right ahead.
Hi, sorry I tuned in late, and Reiki is one of my favorite subjects. I'm just learning it. I just did level 1, and next week I'm doing level 2. I just wanted to know, is there, I found myself using Reiki on myself the first 21 days quite a lot, and I've seen so many wonderful changes that you can use it on just about anything. Besides pain, you can use it on, emotions, you can use it on plants, on animals, and the list is endless, and I'm just so excited now to move to the next level, which is going to be next week, which is level 2. I understand there are 5 levels. Is that correct?
There's it really depends. Like there's teachers out there that will have your level 1, 2 master, and then like master level 2, master level 3. And then like there's some that'll just be levels 1, 2 and master. It really just depends on like who's teaching it, where you're going at. Like I was able to heal someone of a drug overdose, within seconds with a ball of energy, and then I became a Reiki master. I know people who are energy healers and they never took classes, but they're just as powerful as like any other Reiki master, if not better and more powerful and more in tune with the universe. So
also, you don't necessarily need to be attuned before you can practice Reiki. Is that right?
No, actually you don't. But it really just depends on your path, your dharma, what's happening, what the situation was. If you know about it, you've done some research, it's brought into your awareness. Like one of my soul brothers, he's probably the most powerful energy healer I've ever met, and he learned everything esoterically. Like he went within and he found out all the answers, all of the healing modalities, like just everything about energy and divine connection with source and the spirit world and with Mother Gaia. And he's he's really impeccable, and he never took classes. He never like went to a guru, you know, and he's been healing people like all across the country. Like he's a nomad. He just like travels, meets people, like gets free places to stay and like a lot of free food, and he just heals people and basically
Wow.
everything. So
Wow, that's amazing. I'm learning sound healing as well, and I know about 10 different modalities, but Reiki was one thing that I hadn't ventured in. And now that I have, I find that it's coupled with my access bars and my sound healing. It's just
ooh,
phenomenal.
yeah. Oh, I've done access bars too.
It's
Haven't done,
amazing, isn't it?
but yeah, it's really peaceful, like really soothing.
Yes. Have you done sound healing?
Yeah, I do sound healing with tuning forks.
Okay. Okay. I use the Tibetan bowls.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. I wasn't able to travel with the bowls. Actually, I have something. If you guys want to hear a tuning fork, I do have one.
Yay.
I don't know how well you'll hear it, but yeah, a little bit, kind of. Okay. Yeah, so I have that one. I'll play a higher one. This will be the last one. So yeah, I have 15 different tuning forks. The first one you heard was the sacral chakra.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the last one was your soul star chakra, which is like the 8th chakra that's above your crown chakra.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alexander. That really makes, it makes me feel that I'm on the right path. And, the more you learn, there's so much out there. The universe has so much to learn from that. It seems to be never ending. There's so much to just absorb.
Yeah. Oh, you're so right on that. And yeah, and that's the beautiful part of this journey. We never stop learning, we never stop growing, and there's always going to be something new. Everyone's going to have another twist, another story, another belief, a new like energy behind it. So you're for sure on the right path.
Was there anything that you couldn't heal with Reiki as such? Was there any person or any, because I know it doesn't have to do with belief and stuff like that. Even if you don't believe, you still heal. But was there anything that you couldn't heal with Reiki and you had to use another module?
So there's actually, that's an amazing question, by the way. So yeah, there's definitely some things that you can't heal on people because if they have like a karmic tie to like why their disease or illness or pain is happening to them, then they're not supposed to be healed from it. It's like a soul contract that they kind of came in with in this time. So some people are not supposed to be healed from certain things. It's a really fascinating aspect because, they might experience like relief from it, like kind of like an area or like a time span of remission, but eventually like they could go back into it. But you also have to, I guess you don't have to, but there's also certain things like where people, like they'll be healed from it, but then they have to carry that. They have to carry that energy and knowingness that they will continue and will always be healed from it because there's going to be things in their environment or, in their awareness that might try to bring them right back down to it. So there's just a few different things to
Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arik, I'd like just to comment a little bit because you asked me about if the answer was what I was expecting. Yes, it is something funny because I don't consider myself like someone that is very, also I try to do some meditation, but I never reached the level that I call meditation, that is the brain waves that I consider to be meditation. But funny enough, I've been to some people, medium, theta healers, and they all said to me that you are very open, you are receiving everything, you are just taking everything very easy. But the moment I go back home, I feel the effect, whatever they have done to me, it's just gone. So what is happening during the process? Is just a karmic situation, or is it something else that I should look into?
I would definitely see like how your environment, like where you're living, like where you're working, seeing like how that might play a role. Also like what your like other beliefs are. And it also depends on like what you're doing after you got your energy healing or your meditation. Like when you go home and you're still in that state, like as soon as you get out of the car, like maybe just take a few moments to just kind of stand there, like just outside and like connect with Mother Nature and breathe a little bit. And then you can like go inside your garage or like maybe go on your front porch and just take some time to just stand there and breathe and connect. And then you go inside and then you're either like in the hallway from the garage, or maybe you're like in the foyer of like your house or your living room. And then just take a few moments to just pause and breathe, maybe even show some gratitude and love for who you are, where you are, for your house. And then you can just go into like every room and just kind of like do that. Just spend the next like 10-15 minutes just going to different parts of your house and just really just emphasizing those really good high vibe energies, and just take your time doing that. I think that'd be super beneficial.
Yeah. I'm not sure what is the situation, because I normally feel myself like if I go to, for example, Theta healing was the one that I felt more. With other modalities, I didn't feel anything really. But there's a special Theta healer that I feel something. I feel very relaxed at least. And it's very good.
Okay.
The thing is that many people say, for example, last time I went to a medium, she just told me, you have some intuition yourself. And she asked me to do some things that were very bold, because she's telling me, your working situation, this is not your way, and the reason why things happen this way for you is because you are pushing it too much in a situation that you should just leave. But she told me, you have your intuition and you know about things. The stuff is, I don't feel that I have that kind of intuition. Maybe it's something about my mind that is not quite settled, and I just want to know how can I develop in a way to have more focus or more clarity in this way, because you have to have you have to know the way to follow, I think, the way to go. And I feel that I'm a little bit lost in a way.
Okay. That's amazing, that you're going through that, because you're starting to become more aware and you are wanting change, which is absolutely phenomenal. I would find out like what is making you happy, in life, and then like journal that, and then find out ways that might be making you feel like unsettled or like some nervousness, and then write those down, and then see like what other areas in life, that may be like getting you out of balance, or not totally focused, on yourself. And then ask questions of like, what is going to make me happy, or like what is like my sole purpose of being here, how could I be of service, stuff like that. And then just like tune in, see what inside or what messages you get from the inside. Maybe the universe will show you like through a song, or like maybe a billboard, or maybe you'll overhear it in a conversation with someone else. Yeah, and then don't be too hard on yourself either, because this journey, it's a process. Like I've gone through so many dark nights of the soul where I'm like, oh, I don't know the voice between my intuition and this other thing. Like, what's the right thing to do? And it's
yeah.
like it is okay. Just really just take your time with it. And I trust and believe for you that you are getting answers in a very clear and concise way in your divine timing. And I'm putting that energy for you out there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Well, if that's everyone, thank you so much, Alexander. Again, this has been just so insightful. Thank you for our 3 practices. I remember gratitude. I think I forgot the other 2 already, but I got the ones that were for me. I think the biggest thing I'll say, the takeaway is I love you invited us so many times to trust the universe more, to ask, and that the answers that we all need are inside. And the more that we do that, the more that we practice that, the more that we practice living consciously. And like you said, being grateful for the past, being grateful for where we are now, and being grateful for the future. This was just a beautiful exchange about mindful living, and reminding us that the body has the power to heal anything, provided with our support, right? Our collaboration. And that we are powerful beings, far more. We're not mere humans. We're powerful beings having this grand human, living this grand human experiment. I like to think of it as an adventure. I like that. And thank you for reminding us to, like I said, that blind faith is basically just choosing to trust, trust in life, trust that it'll work out for us, even when and I really appreciate, thank you, Arik, for the questions that you asked in depth about the Crohn's, because it's really hard sometimes to trust when you're in the midst of what seems like a really difficult experience or a dark night of the soul. And that's the very place that I find that if I can, like just like a candle, right? Just a little bit of trust and a little bit of faith, it just grows and it grows. And I have been on the planet almost 59 years here in a couple of days, and this time, and I can look back and at everything that I was terrified of, even the things that were really hard, they really all worked out. Like I'm come to this place in my life where I'm really beginning to, my prayer is to be able to love and be with whatever is, like not resistant, I'm not abdicating myself from any action or whatever, but my action to come from love and not fear. And so this was a really beautiful experience through all of your life. Thank you for sharing your personal details and your vulnerability and courage. And no, we're glad, as your friend said, don't change you. So I'm going to get your contact information from you, like I said, afterwards. And then when Arik puts the video up and shares it with the group, he'll post it in there, how you can contact Alexander for sessions. You can do them via Zoom or however you guys work it out. But again, just thank you, wishing you much love and many blessings, everyone. Thanks everyone for being here. And Arik, thank you for being so generous with your webinars and with us as the community, inviting us to share special people that benefit and impact our lives.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alba. You were amazing as a host. And thank you so much, Alexander, for sharing your wisdom, your experience, for being vulnerable and open. Thank you so much. And so we had few people here today, and many more will watch it later on. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Alba, for inviting me and guiding me through this. I'm so appreciative of you. And Arik, thank you for hosting and creating this group. It's really an honor and a blessing to be here. And yeah, just believe in yourselves. Anything is truly possible in this world. One step, one breath, one act at a time. And I believe in every single one of you with whatever y'all are trying to do in this life.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys. Bye. Blessings to everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.